guys, it's me again for the first of today's videos. Here we go, starting off with Togo. And when compared to other countries, Togo has a relatively short history. Like shorter than most, even though the video probably is just as long. As there is no evidence of an ancient civilization, and the earliest known record only goes back to the 10th century AD. And modern history has been short for Togo since it's avoided early colonisation by Europe and gained independence early on as well, as it's only had a limited cultural influence which has allowed Togo to remain steeped in traditional African culture, which can be like voodoo, which is still practiced today in art. And between the 11th to 16th centuries, Togo was populated by various tribes who migrated from nearby areas. Little was known about them, as little was known about it at the time, as the Portuguese arrived in the region in the 15th century. They did not settle as many European nations used Togo as part of their basis to gain slaves for onward transportation to places like the US and the Caribbean. And the area of West Africa is the nickname of the Slave Coast. But as slavery was abolished in the 19th century, towards the end of that century, Africa had suffered another blow from the empire-building European nations. In a desperate bid to prove might and international power, European countries carved up remaining regions of the continent that had not yet been colonised, and in 1884 Joe declared the protectorate over Togo, calling it Togoland. And after World War I, which battles of war were fought in around Togo, the country was divided into two zones controlled by the Allies, one British and one French, and by the 1920 the territory was ceded to the French. A small portion still controlled by the British, called British Togoland, as British Togoland joined the newly independent nation of Ghana in 1956, and the French-controlled area became an autonomous Republic of France in 1959, but was short-lived, as by 1960 the country declared independence and would be in a peaceful and smooth transition. However, the first president of the new country was assassinated 3 years after coming to power, after a military coup led by a teen, Ayada Ganashingbe. Sorry if I pronounce that wrong, feel free to correct me. And after another coup in 1967, Ayad Gasingbe assumed power as a dictator, a role which he held on to for the next 38 years. And after his sudden death in 2005, his son Faure Gasingbe took over, which was met with widespread condemnation on the international community. He urged the country to hold democratic elections, as he immediately stepped down and called elections, which saw him re-elected, as his leadership had a stabilising effect since the country's experienced economic success, and after some difficulties in the 1990s. And Togo is a relatively small country in comparison to their neighbours, as Togo has a rich culture which is reflected by 37 tribal ethnic groups, which include the Ewe, the Mina, the Kat and the Cabri. As Togo was a former French colony, the French influence remained there since French is the official language, although several other languages are spoken. As the native tribal languages are still strong in Togo, since the majority of the population follow traditional animist beliefs. And a recent culture has seen Togo be put onto the stage by kind of like a national football team, which reached the FIFA World Cup in 2006, with a star player of Emmanuel Adebayo, who currently earns millions playing in kind of like the English Premier League, and was voted African Player of the Year in 2008. And the team also reached headlines again when the bus was attacked by a machine gun fight on the way to the 2010 Africa Cup of Nations in Angola, which resulted in some deaths. And as Togo is a multilingual country, the official language is French and the national language is Ewe and Kabyle. French is the formal written language of Togo. Besides the Tongolese, the French model government structure, Tongolese speak little English, and Mina is working language in Mobara, Tem and Fula. And in total, Togo is more than 40 languages, both imported and native to the country. As the Tongolese people usually speak their African mother tongue when in school, as French has become a mandatory language. However, deaf education uses American Sign Language, which was introduced by an Andrew Foster, who was an American missionary. And French goes back to the days of colonialism, as a language managed to infiltrate every sector and home in Togo sorts. As the language today is spoken in public, and the government have made it is used by the government and as a trade language, and since it's a national language, Francais has become an alternative name for the Indo-European, Italian Romance, Gallo-Romance, Iberian, Western Italian, or Western. As 30 to 37% of the population speak French. And in the last 15 years, the use of French as an official national language has developed considerably, especially since French forms an important part of Tongolese schools. And even though French is a foreign tongue, it's gradually attained a Tongolese identity, and it has been embraced by the cultural realities of the country. And during independence, the government made French the national language of Togo, and it became the most type of written language within the country. Then there's Ewe, as the Ewe language is one of the two national languages of Togo, the other being Kabyle, which we'll get to eventually, and is spoken in the maritime and plateau areas of Kapilam, Notse, and a couple of others, as Ewe is the predominant language of southern Togo. And the Ewe dialect belongs to the Gebe, a group of related languages, the other being Fon, as there is tonal in that pitch differences distinguish one word from another, which is a common characteristic of Africa, like languages coming from Africa. As for example, Mortar is a rising tone, as mountain is a high tone, and buffalo is a low tone. And when in written form, the African reference alphabet is applied to such when written, as it appears like a mixture of international phonetic alphabet and Latin. As Kabyle is also a national language, as is Ewe, dominating the regions of Kaza and Benin prefectures and the central and plateau regions. And Sotoboa, Wawa and Amalain prefectures, as Kabyle is an eastern Gorosin language, and in 1999 about 23% of the population spoke Carrier as the national language in Togo, as Carrier is promoted in national media, and is also used as an optional exam subject in the 9th and 10th grades. Like the airway language, Carrier is also a tonal language, and contrast may occur in lexical terms like the Adalu elder brother and Dalu intestinal worm, Dalu intestinal worm, and in a grammatical context. And when in written form, writers use the modified Roman scripts based on the African reference alphabet. And again, languages are predominant in the southeast of Togo and some maritime regions, as the neighbouring countries call the Gen speakers Mina, as Tem is also a widely spoken language, especially in the Kara region, the central region, the Bafilo sub-prefecture, as well as the Sakode, Sotobo, and Bafilo, the Gabe language, spelled GBE, is also common in southern Togo, as the Gabe concentrates in Bergan, Tagalogbo, and Atingan, and it's part of the Gabe language subgroup. The Gabe language subgroup. As Togo has 3 types of languages, as a national and official language, which is French, the core language such as the Gabe spoken in the south, and the girl languages like Kabyle spoken in the north. Living in Togo would require some knowledge of French, as every sector of the economy uses French as the trading language. So that is Togo for you. And I'll see you shortly. So bye for now.